I have an ex-IUIC member. Her name is Leah, and she's also the ex-wife of a soldier who is still currently in IUIC. Okay, we're going to talk about her story. We're going to talk about her marriage and what she experienced, her truth in IUIC.
They were basically the Pharisees, so.
Right.
So yeah. So I just wanted to, introduce myself to everybody. So I'm Leah. I am 22 years old, about to be 23 in August. I'm almost done with my bachelor's degree. I'm studying business management right now, and I plan on going to law school within the next year. I'm the oldest out of 4 children, so I have 3 little brother and sisters. I live in a 2-parent household, and grew up in a Christian family, grew up in the Christian church my whole life. So that's my background, just, regular girl going to school. Why would I need to get a degree anyway? I'm going to stay home and be a housewife and, just cater to my husband and kids. So what's the point of getting a degree and then going to work? So I was losing a lot of motivation. I wanted to get a higher degree, like master's or postgraduate. I didn't want to do that anymore. But as soon as I, got out, then I wanted to continue my degree. So that's definitely true. And it's scary. So slowed down for a minute, but, by the grace of God, I'm resuming what I was going for.
Right.
So
you and me both. Yes.
But yeah, that's just me in a nutshell. So everybody can pretty much know, where I came from. And
right.
So
let's just get into your experience with IUIC. I'm just going to start off by asking you a few questions. Just can you describe how your relationship was with your family before joining IUIC?
I actually had a really strong family bond. Again, I have a big family of 4. So altogether, it's 6 of us in the household because we're 2 parents. And so, we are always, in good communication. We have good communication with each other. We're always around each other. So family is a huge thing for me. And I still have a really close bond with them to this day. So, and I never really actually they didn't really get me to isolate myself from them. I always kept close communication with them. So, good. Of course, they didn't agree with the religion or the cult or whatever, but they still supported me through it because they knew I was, there's nothing really they could have done.
Before joining IUIC, because I know they like to target people who are going through things or maybe people lonely, things like that. Did you have any real friends before joining IUIC? Like, did you have any close friends? How was your relationships with them if you did have close friends?
I think in high school and middle school, we all have a lot of friends. And then once we grow up and graduate, we kind of part ways and such. So I didn't have a lot of friends that I just, always talk to, but I did have strong, good people by my side, that's been with me, from middle school all the way up. I've kept a couple good friends. So yeah. I would talk with them, every now and then, but then it's not like I didn't have everyday type of people that I would talk to,
Right. I get it.
Yeah. I had a couple good friends that I can reach out to for advice, when I needed it. And we would talk every so often. So I did have some.
When you joined the cult, what happened to those friends? Did you stop talking to them or?
No.
Or were you just I'm still talking to them. I don't care what nobody has to say. I'm still going to talk to them.
I didn't really isolate myself too much with friends or family because of this. There was an instance where my close friend, I've known him for ever. He did something to me, and I stopped talking to him. Like, I just like completely cut him off for something I would not have gotten mad at if I was not brainwashed, if that makes sense. So,
wow, yeah.
He was such a good friend. He did not, stop trying to reach out. He left voicemails trying to apologize and
wow.
so forth. So it was a really strong connection. And if it wasn't for him, like, keep apologizing and keep trying to reach out, then yeah, cut him off. But most of the friends I did not cut off. I didn't really talk to them as much, but I didn't like completely cut them off. So
that's good. That is so good. Girl, I was so brainwashed. It's like I had a big thing of scissors. I started cutting people off left and right, cut. So I'm so glad, you was still using your brain. You know what I mean? You still had some common sense in there, which is good.
I did do that on social media. I cut off like all the people that, I used to follow, and then I started following like all Israel people and all the people in the camp and all that good stuff. So yeah.
First it was like normal people, James Washington, Desi Brown. And then it was like Obadiah Gazat.
Yeah, it was like I gained like a good 200 followers of like just that type of people, that type of group. So I did a lot of cutting off in social media. And after a while, like my timeline was just a whole bunch of memes on, you know how they do, like they would not post themselves, just be a whole bunch of memes on, yeah, so.
Yeah, you see all the, you see the Deuteronomy 28 memes, the slavery memes. And like today is the 4th of July. So they'll have the 4th of July memes going out like the 4th of July. Like they change it up.
They would be coming up with a whole bunch of stuff. My whole timeline would be just memes.
So as far as the school, the camp that you were at, what IUIC camp were you at? Were you a member of, and how long? And if you could remember the leaders there, I'm not sure if you want to say their names. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you could just tell us what part of IUIC, what camp, and how long you were in that camp.
So I was a part of the Northern California camp. The leader of that camp was Officer Benaiah, and there was 3 other officers that were a part of leadership. There's Officer Zuriel, Officer Elias, and Officer Araya. I hope I'm not missing any, but those were the main ones that were leading the NorCal camp.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was.
And how long were you?
There was 2 camps in California. There's SoCal, and then there was NorCal. So. And
how long were you there?
I was there the same amount of time as you, a good 2 years. So, and witnessed a lot. So, yeah.
Wow. Before we get into what you witnessed, because I do want to touch on that, because that is important. What methods, to get into IUIC and to persuade you to join or persuade people to join, what methods would you say that IUIC use to help join, join their organization?
This was a huge, method, or a huge deal, because this is how they gained their members, and they would reel them in using the vulnerable state Black people were in. It was a time where all the police brutality videos would pop up, and all of the news on Black people, they would use that to orchestrate, okay, this is why this is happening to us. This is why we don't own 2% of the land now. They used that type of answer, because a lot of people, they give this answer to people that has not been answered before. So they're saying, okay, Black people, you are in this state because of this. Read the Bible, right? And then they show that, and they use, slavery propaganda and all that stuff. So they just attack Black people's vulnerable state, and they reel them in with Bible scriptures that they have twisted into to a message that is appealing for them. An answer, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they use that, and that's what persuades a lot of people. And if you don't have a strong family, you don't have a lot of friends, around, you're going to be a good target for them, because that's who they're looking for. They're looking for, lonely people that don't have good family background. They're looking for this type of, they know that they are looking for this type of love that they can offer their members and all that stuff. So they use all of that to just reel people in. Okay. So IUIC is basically a hate group or a cult, destructive religious cult, and they believe in the old covenant. So they are basically the brought back again Pharisees. They claim that they're the prophets, but they are prophesying the old covenant again. So what that means is the Pharisees, they did not believe Christ came down here again to die on the cross. They thought that was a regular man. He was not the Messiah. So they still believe in the Mosaic law. So they want to keep the Sabbath. They want to keep the high holy days. They want to keep everything that's the moral, the civil law. They want to keep the dietary laws, no pork or certain seafood. So it's basically they want to follow the old covenant, and they're very hateful. They actually hate everybody that's not in that group. They believe a certain amount of people are going to be saved, and that's based on your race. So if you're not Black, Native American, Mexican, or what have you, you're not going to get the kingdom, or you're going to be a slave in the kingdom. So they're really a hateful organization, to say the least. And they disguise themselves as light. So again, they disguise themselves as the prophets. And I know a lot of people have heard darkness disguising themselves as light, and that's exactly what they're doing. So they're hiding behind the Bible to manipulate people, so they can just basically, what's the word? Just do whatever they feel, or they manipulate people so they can work their hidden agenda. So, yeah.
And a lot of that agenda is financial wise. They pressure people to give alms, and they say, no, this is not tithes. Like if someone brings up, wait, hold on, this is like the church. You guys talk so much about the Christian church, but you're pressuring us to give money. Isn't that tithe? They're like, no, brother, no, sister. It's called alms.
Yeah, that's being a hypocrite, because they are so against the Christian church asking for money, but then they turn around and ask for money too. So Pharisees, if you look it up on the dictionary, it says hypocrites. So that's what they do in their everyday life. So they hide behind light, and their hidden agenda is pretty much to control people, control them by, growing their the group by pushing marriage, pushing having children, and then just controlling whoever they can, really. So, yeah.
Okay. Why don't you tell everybody how you actually joined IUIC, and how did that come about? How did you get into this destructive cult?
So I got introduced to it by my ex-husband, and he got introduced to it by YouTube. So he got indoctrinated by the videos and what have you, and then he brought it to me. He showed me a video, and then ever since then he just really been pushing it, and then eventually I just believed it, and so that's how I got introduced to them.
Right. And those videos are very powerful. You said that your ex-husband introduced you to the videos, right? Mm-hmm. So why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit about how you met your ex-husband and just that background story, so people will know exactly how you guys met and everything like that.
Okay. So about 3 years ago, because I actually known him for 4 years now. So we met in San Francisco, at a club, and he was not introduced to IUIC at all. So we met, at a club, and we started talking, and we were talking for about like a year or so. And it was a really strange relationship. I've never really had a guy, who I've been with for almost a year, and we don't really have a good connection, like a real, genuine connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we met for a full year, didn't have a good connection, and then he started getting into this IUIC, and then that's how that started. So, yeah.
Right. Wow. Wow. So you didn't meet him in IUIC. You met him before IUIC. Is that right?
Yeah, we pretty much got into it together, but he got into it I want to say a couple months. He didn't even tell me about it at first. So he got hooked on it, and then he brought it to me. So again, like I said, it was a really weird relationship where he was not very open. He was a really private person. So he got into this, and then eventually he showed me a video, and he was watching me so hard when he first showed it to me. He's like, "What do you think about this?" And he's watching. I can see from my peripheral
wow, that's
a hole in the side of my face while he's showing me this video, and I'm looking at them what in the world? These are people that got rejected from the real Christian church, and they're trying to start something of their own. And it's just Black people, they trying to do something, that type of Black power thing. So
right.
I really rejected it, but I had no clue he was already pretty much hooked. And so, yeah, we pretty much met outside of this cult. He got into it, introduced me to it. And so we pretty much met them in person. We went to go meet them together. So that's how that worked.
Got it. Got it. And so I know you said he got started watching the videos. How much would you say? I know for me, I used to really be in a cave. I'll lock myself in a room. I'll get home from work, lock myself in a room. If the people are over, they'll just be like, "Okay, hi," go in the room, put on IUIC, and just be watching it. You know what I'm saying? Just watching it take notes.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing. I mean, we didn't live together, so I didn't really see him in person, because I was in school, so we would just be on the phone. And I would talk to his mom, who he would be living with, who he was living with at the time. And his mom was after he comes home from work, he locks himself in that room, and he is literally in that Bible on the freaking computer like a robot. He's just locked in. And I noticed it as well. He kind of seemed a little bit more distant as he was getting hooked on it. He was memorizing all those scriptures and memorizing what to say for this and what to say for that and what they do for this and what they do for that. It was a good 6 months that I just noticed he was really getting even more distant, because all his time and his focus was on this new cult that he discovered.
Wow. That is scary.
It's very scary. Yeah.
For a mother to just witness her child changing right before her eyes, whoa, he is not the same. He's starting to change.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And I was over the phone. I was in Long Beach and he's in NorCal, right? I was over the phone, so it was intense. It was really, really intense. So.
Wow. I don't know if you may have known. Do you know when he actually started? Because I know that IUIC, they have their own dress code. The fringes and border blue, which they get from numbers, I believe, 15 to 38. If I'm incorrect, somebody correct me in the comments, okay? So when did you start to see, when you would visit him or you guys see each other, when did you start to see him change his clothes, put in the fringes and the border blue on his clothes? Did he start to do that yet?
No, that was when I got hooked. So I would actually put on the fringe. I actually put on the fringes and the ribbon for him. So started doing that together. But yeah, so that was not until a while. We were still kind of feeling everything out. I mean, of course, he was like completely into it, and so we didn't start changing like our appearance and how we ate and stuff until we started like really congregating with him. There was a period of time where we just watched videos and was just, watching them on YouTube and stuff. And then once we started congregating, it was different. So real change started coming in was when we started like seeing them in person.
Okay, that makes sense. So when you actually joined IUIC, did you believe in the doctrine that they were saying? Did you fully think that they had like the truth, like this secret truth that no pastor told us? They say the white man lied to you all your life. So were you starting to be convinced that they actually had the truth?
Yeah, by the time I reached out to them, because I reached out to them, and by the time we went to go congregate with them, we were hooked. Like no family or friends could have, turned me against the doctrine, because I was already, it was like, no, this is it. This is why, Black people are state or whatever. So yeah, I was already hooked when I went to them to congregate. So yeah, they will take your whole mind, okay? And once you take somebody's mind, you take their actions and everything else with it. So
okay, yes, it starts with your mind. Everything starts with a thought, and from there it just grows and blossoms.
Yeah, and they know. They have, I swear, they know how to manipulate and brainwash somebody. I think they really, like the leadership really studies how humans, like learn and their whole process, because they're just really good at it.
Yeah, somebody, maybe Nathaniel took some psychology courses,
He did. I really think he did.
I don't know if that's part of the, the NYPD Academy, since he was a detective, and all that.
I think that is because you can kind of see how people are taking your statements and stuff. Like you can really see like body language and see how they're perceiving you. So I really think he's trained in that area.
Definitely.
Really well. He's very good at it. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a con artist.
He is. He's a very intelligent man. I will say that. And he used it for evil, unfortunately. So I know that when we first got back into contact with each other, to do, to talk about this and to see if you were, still interested in doing this interview, which I'm so glad that you decided to speak out, because it's so hard. Like people don't understand how hard it is to even bring back these memories. It's hurtful. It's So
I had to, it was just such a spiritual fight, and I was just so happy that it overcame it. I had to speak out because I know other people are, going through this, and I owed it to my family and friends as well, because they were worried. They were praying as well. I had no clue, but I had to just speak out and just tell my truth, because it's so scary, because I really realized the spiritual world is really active and is really there. You know what I mean? So this just brought so much light to that spiritual side to me. I just had to say something.
Were you restricted and told not to do normal activities such as like watching TV? They say, oh, don't watch this, and I know for the men, they say, no, stop watching sports. They're coons. That's the white men, blah, blah, blah. And so can you just, and then also, were you limited in asking questions or restricted completely, or even intimidated to even ask a question? Can you just tell us a little bit about those things, like as far as like, just so people can know what else they do in there?
Yeah. So regarding interpreting the scriptures, what they would do is they would have this reader, and they would have this speaker. So the speaker would tell the person to read the scripture out of the Bible, and then the reader would automatically shout and tell you what that really means. So before you can think for yourself on what something means, this speaker is literally yelling at the top of his lungs on what it really, really means. So you can't really think for yourself. And if you do, and you're like, oh, wait, hold up, what is this is supposed to mean? I don't think it really means that. They'll say, you're confused. Oh, no, you need to listen and you need to sit down because this is the truth that I'm bringing out. We've been lied to all of our lives. So they interpret the scriptures. I would say they can't read, I don't think, 5 words without stopping and telling you what something means to make sure that you're off track with them. So, scriptures all day.
And real quick.
Yeah, that's very important for them to do that because, that's how they lead you astray. And then they go off of the King James Version only because they know that's very hard to interpret. That's in Old English. So it's easier for them to misinterpret it and tell you what they think it means because, it's King James Version. It's pretty hard to interpret,
Right. So, we don't speak like that no more. We do not speak like that anymore.
That's another thing is language. They would adopt a lot of language that the King James Version would use. They would use a lot of Old English and they would adopt it into their everyday sayings. So it was really, really weird. So another thing is they told you to separate from your family and friends. This was huge for them because they have to isolate their members from anybody who is good for them because this cult is bad for you. So if you have good people around you, that good is going to overshadow them and the good is going to take you out. So they can't have that. They have to demonize anybody that's good in your life. So they will actually bring out a scripture on that and they will misinterpret that as well about Jesus saying, oh, that's not my mom or whatever, my brother. Only the people who do my commandments are my family. They'll use that and then be like, look, he disrespected his mother and his brother for this truth and you should do the same. Don't listen to your mother or your brother. But they use those scriptures, twist it, and tell you to isolate your family. So they told you to do that. And then normal activities, like watching TV, music was a big one, is because they want you to just be completely different from the world. They don't want you to be included in normal activities because, again, this will, surround you with people that are not like them. So it could, because people are going to influence you. They don't want you to be influenced by watching TV because TV is going to tell you something different and then they're telling you something over here. So they just want you to be completely focused and dependent on them. So that's why they limit strict normal activities because, again, that's going to include you and, the rest of the world, really.
Right.
So, yeah.
And before you go on to the next thing, I just want to add with their music, they actually subtract the worldly music and they put in their IUIC music. And they say, oh, yeah, this is okay to listen to. Listen to IUIC music. Support your people. And
it'll be like gospel rap. They would take they'd take popular and instrumentals and then they would rap over it with their
doctrine. Right.
So that's still me. I mean, I honestly didn't think that was right because you had the beat, so you had that that song in your head, but you are talking about godly things in your mind. So I didn't think it was right, but hey, whatever. But they would do that, and they would basically you could not listen to regular popular music if it was not IUIC. They'd be looking at you like, "What are you?" Right. You would feel it. So
okay, she back in the world.
Yeah, or she in a place where you meeting up with them, you better check your music because they will be looking and listening to what you're listening to on the way there. So they're so controlling in that aspect. Yeah, music was huge.